Hi, friends, and welcome to another edition of Connected Faith, the opportunity where we talk about bringing the digital world into church contact and the church reaching new places in using the digital world. Thank you for joining us. I'm Bill Snider, and with me is Dr. Layne McDonald. Layne, welcome back.
Happy to be here. This will be a fun one.
It's going to be. We have a guest today that we're going to talk about ministry at the local church level. Robbie Gonzalez pastors New Life Church in Yorkville, Illinois, a suburb of Chicago. And Robbie, it's great to have you on our broadcast podcast. Thank you, sir, for taking time to share about life and ministry in your world.
Absolutely. Thank you for inviting me. Thank you for having me on. I'm excited. I'm excited about today's talk.
Robbie, let's start with your story. How did God speak to you about getting into ministry, and maybe just a little background of your ministry experience that brought you to Yorkville?
Yeah. So grew up just outside of Chicago. And so Chicago, didn't grow up in Chicago, but grew up just outside of it. And so Chicago roots are deep within me, and grew up at a really awesome church in a city called Naperville, Illinois. And just was always surrounded by really good people who cared about me, who loved me, and showed me the love of Christ. And I graduated high school in early 2000s, and I wasn't exactly sure what I was going to go do afterwards. I went to junior college. I actually graduated at 17 years old just because of my birth date, not because I'm skilled in education. Okay. But so I went the next year. I was 18, still in the summertime. And so I went to youth summer camp with the church youth group, kind of as a leader, but also like, hey, I'm 18. Maybe I can get away with like playing some games and dominating on these kids. And so I went to camp, and God called me into ministry that summer. And so, I'm not a big proponent of breaking rules, but for some reason this summer, when I went as an 18-year-old, a year graduated from high school, the Lord decided to speak to me. And so felt like the Lord was calling me to the youth of the nation. Didn't really know what that meant. Talked to mentors about it, and ended up at Central Bible College in Springfield, Missouri for a short season. A lot happened. And so I was only there for 2.5 years, and then really just was kind of battling inside. What does this mean? What's going on? How can I be a young man, a pure young man? How can I follow Jesus? And I was in my 20s, and I kind of lost my way a little bit here and there. But again, had great people in my life to love on me and show me the way, and graduated. For anybody that is wondering out there, listening or watching, I graduated with my undergrad at 30 years old. It is never too late to go back. And actually, I am a pastor, like you introduced me, but my degree is in organizational leadership. It's actually in business. And that has served me really well. And at the age of 30 years old, I got into full-time ministry. I was a sports director, if you can believe that. I was a sports pastor at Calvary Church in Naperville, Illinois. And the rest is kind of history over this last just over a decade now of my life in ministry, and the call of God that he had. And he was always pursuing me. Even when I wasn't pursuing him, he was pursuing me.
Kind of interesting. My first degree was in business administration marketing. And Layne has a degree in business administration at an upper level. I think you've got a doctorate?
PhD, yeah.
A PhD. So business is not a bad thing as far as a foundation for ministry.
That's right. That's right.
Wonderful. Great
How about
story.
that?
Great story.
We're all in the same area.
Ain't that something?
Go ahead.
All right. So, I don't know, where were you in 2005, 2006 when YouTube and social media started happening, right? It just kind of crept up on us, and then like an explosion. So what was the spark for you on understanding social media as in business, knowing that we're all in the business realm now with our education? More that it's more than just marketing. It's more about personability and ministry. What was that moment for you?
Yeah, I was college aged in 2005, 2006, which I believe when Facebook started, it was only for college students, right? And I remember that I was like, oh, okay, this might be kind of cool. Like it's very limited, it's very pointed to a certain audience for connection, and then roll it forward, and now everybody kind of can have an account, it seems. But the connection was definitely not that early on with the YouTube boom and all of that. It was probably more in the teens, 2015, 2016. I started a business actually in the midst of being in ministry. I started a kind of a side hustle. I think that's what we call it, right? And I just knew that the only way to be successful was to be in front of people. And I'm only one person, and I have this small LLC out of Naperville, Illinois. How can I connect with people? The number one way I was able to do that is through social media and really find the connection, because that's just a word that we use in the church. But it's true. If we want to connect with people, we got to be where they are. And it's not always at conferences. It's not always at these places. It's right now it's on their phone. It's on the screens. And so, just over a decade ago, I think it really, really clicked. 2015, 2016 was like, we've got to be great at connecting with people. And right now, the number one place to connect is online, is social media.
Mm-hmm. When you became pastor at New Life Church, how many years ago was that?
New Life Church, I came on, was voted on as the lead pastor July of 23. So just about 2.5 years now.
Okay. Was social media or media a part of your thinking when you entered into this pastorate? And what was the motivator as far as that being who you wanted the church to become?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I love that question because number one, when I got the role of lead pastor, the church, New Life Church, where I pastor, did not have a lead pastor for 2 years. So what that does to a community and to a church is there aren't a lot of eyes on what's going on there because there's no leadership. Now we have an amazing board. We have an amazing core of people that kept us going by the grace of God, but the community didn't know who we were. And I said, one of my top 3, you know how when you go into a new job, you might have your 30-day, your 60-day, your 90-day plan. Well, can I tell you, one of the top 3 things was get the word out that New Life Church is doing something new, and we're going to get the word out about it. And that was through social media.
Let me bump on to the next question. Describe what the approach was, and then I'll let you pick the question up from there. But describe what the approach was. If the idea is we need to let people know, what kind of messaging did you put out there, and what was the effect of that in the beginning?
Yeah, in the beginning, I wanted people to know me. Not because I'm some celebrity or I'm something big. I just wanted them to know that there was going to be someone leading the way, not very, but a person just like them, a person who, is married and has kids and struggles with things still. I just try to make it very personal so that they know, because in ministry, when you're having a stage, you're put on a pedestal that A, I don't think we deserve, and B, sometimes we can't handle the weight of. And so I was like, I'm just like you. And so I would do behind the scenes. Hey, I'm in my office, everybody. What is going on? I'm planning the sermon. Come on Sunday. Hey, we're going to the local food pantry and we're going to love on some people. And there's an opportunity for you to serve here too. When I moved from Colorado, I was there for only 15 months. The Lord brought us away from Chicago for 15 months. And then he brought us right back. That's another podcast. But I wanted to make sure that people knew that we weren't just a church that was exciting on Sundays. We were going to be a church, and we are a church that does things in the community, because that's what the church needs to be, the hands and feet of Jesus. The hands and feet of Jesus happens Monday through Sunday, not just on Sunday. And so how could we showcase that New Life Church is about the community? And so we would showcase, what are we doing? We were going to sign up for parades. We were going to be part of the Chamber of Commerce. We were going to be part of the local homeless shelter. And we were going to serve there, and we were going to highlight us serving there, because we wanted people to know that we weren't just the church on Sunday. We're the church each and every day, because the church is the people, not a building. And so we really showcased that, and we wanted to build trust. That was the number one thing I was trying to do, is build trust and then let people know that we're here.
Comes to mind, authentic. It sounds like that's what you were trying to accomplish, that we're real
Yes,
people.
we wanted to, yeah.
Okay. Rather than a face.
Right. No, not at all. And that's so funny. We just did a rebranding this last year, and we re-identified who we were as a church, and authenticity is one of our core values. So I'm so happy you just said that, because that is so true of who we are. Because look, life is real and raw. So let's be real and raw together. No facades, no masks, no fake. It's okay to be real. And so, yeah, authenticity is huge. And people show up for that, because they can see through anything you try to put up, from the pulpit with a microphone to an Instagram or an X post or a Facebook post or TikTok, or they can see through it nowadays, because that's all they see. And so you've got to be authentic. So I'm so glad you said that, because it's so true for us in ministry.
I think that I'm going to piggyback on that with that tough and misunderstood part. How do you bleed through with love and the big why, right? We can do the whats, like show up here. We're going to have a great event here. But how do you bleed through with such misunderstanding of digital media, even with the church membership? How do you get through that facade? How do you do that as what you do personally?
We have this saying, and a lot of churches say it: we keep the main thing the main thing. When Jesus is at the focal point of everything we do, from how we minister from the pulpit to how we minister through a screen, people see that. And so the why is, we want to bring heaven to earth, and we want to make heaven crowded eternally. And we'll do whatever it takes. And so there's no one person that's getting more of something. It's, we're going to go be the hands and feet of Jesus. That's why we do what we do. We show up on Sunday to serve because Jesus first served. We show up at the Hesed House, which is a homeless shelter here locally, because Jesus said, go take care of the least of these. Go take care of the widows. Go take care of those on the margins. And so that's what we do. And so when you're authentic about it and you actually do what you say, I think sometimes we kind of miss that. We say a lot and then we only do so much. You got to do a lot, say a little, and the rest kind of takes care of itself. And so that's really our why.
So paint us a picture on, just describe, give us an example of a scenario, something coming up, and how would you describe your approach to that as an online ministry, with your tone, your message, and the heart behind the post? Just give us an example of how one of those would look.
So, for example, we're doing a food drive right now for our local, within our city, we have our county-wide food pantry. And so we actually are going to team up with a local YMCA, Young Men Christian Association, and we're going to do a food drive along with them. So right away, we're including the community broader than just the church. And so we're bringing partnership in. And then we're going to talk about it. Hey, you get to be part of the solution. Everybody wants to talk about the problems they see. Everyone wants to post, and those keyboard warriors. I don't know if nobody listening to your podcast does that. But everybody wants to say stuff. Everybody wants to point out. We're just going to be people of action. And so we're going to talk about, hey, if you can't volunteer at the food pantry, guess what you can do? You can donate, both financially and or non-perishable goods. And so let's do this together. And so YMCA, us, and then guess what we're also going to do? We're going to go and take a video with your cell phone, because that is a very powerful tool today. and walk in with all of the goods, walk in with the check that people donated, walk in and show them where this is actually going, because people want to be part of the process, just sometimes they can't be it. And so you want to take them from the Sunday morning announcement to the Instagram announcement to the actual feet to the vision. What is happening and where is it taking place? Take them with you. People want to be brought in. People want to see behind the scenes. They want to be part of it, even if they can't physically be there. And that's the power of technology. And so that's how we kind of go and say, how can we make sure that everybody feels like they're part of this? A, they donated. Okay, that's one piece. And then B, let's bring them with and show them the power of partnering together.
That's excellent. Very, very good. What's been the response to this sort of approach?
Yeah, that's a great question for us. That's a wonderful question.
This was unique. You went to Marketing 101 and came up with this approach. I've not heard others doing it, although they talked the game, but what you just described is another level. What's been the response to it in the community?
Yeah.
First of all, get into some specifics, but what's been the response to this sort of approach?
Well, right away, when we put things out in the community, it is positive. It's hard to get mad at people trying to help. I will say, every church, when transition happens, and there was a 2-year gap between the pastor who led before me, who is amazing, a man of God, his beautiful wife, like they did amazing work. And so, but there was a 2-year hiatus of leadership. And so the baton wasn't necessarily passed instantly. And so there was the thought process behind, well, this is kind of what we used to do, right? But then 2 years went on and it was like, well, we really don't have what we used to do because we're just trying to survive here, keep our head above water. And then a, 38-year-old, 39-year-old millennial, myself, who probably, at times probably operates like Gen Z maybe on some of the things that I come up with, which hopefully keeps me young and keeps the gray out of my hair. But it wasn't necessarily welcomed with open arms because it was so new. Why are these cameras around? I'm worshiping the Lord. Why is there a camera in the same room that I'm worshiping with someone? You're going to a food pantry and you're going to film it. Isn't that kind of dishonoring to those that are there? So those, and here's the thing, those are real thoughts and those are real feelings. And it comes back to, I will do whatever it takes to make sure that people know we care and to make sure that New Life Church is on the forefront of making sure that we are not going to be the church that just sits still, that stays silent. When something comes up, we're going to be part of it. And we want people to know about that. And so, yeah, we're not up in people's grill. We're not up in people's faces when they're worshiping and praying, like, go have the God moment. Of course, we honor that. It's a sacred moment. It's a holy moment. But at the same time, we're going to tell the story of what Jesus is doing. And in today's age, that happens via pictures, via video. And so we're going to do that. And yeah, there were some tough conversations with people of the church. The community, though, the byproduct of it, when people started seeing, oh, people are coming to church because they see us online, there might be something to this. And so it was an uphill battle, I will say. It was an uphill battle, but they're seeing the fruit of it, which at the end of the day, that's what people want. They want to see the fruit of what's happening. And that's been the case for us. We've been really blessed.
Really appreciative of the fact that you shared that, because anything new is going to get some pushback. The church historically has not exactly been cutting edge. And so it takes someone who understands what it is they're doing and the why, and then the trust you built with local people for them to say, okay, I may not understand, but I trust you. Let's see what happens. And then God has to provide. There has to be some
Ain't that
fruit.
the truth?
Yeah. Very good. Okay. Layne.
So I call it the raccoon effect. You got a lot of bells and whistles out there, right? You've got YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, X, Blue Sky, Truth Social, Rumble, the left, the right, the middle, video, image, audio. So with all the rumbling, crazy, no pun intended there, with all the raccoon effect kind of grab at the shiny things, which ones have really stuck through to you as the most effective for your ministry?
Mm-hmm.
And then how have those become useful and valuable inside your own church?
Yeah, wonderful question. I love that because there is so much out there. It's as they say, a saturated market, right? There's just so many offerings. And so what works for you? And so you have to, just like anybody listening to this podcast or watching it, if you're in ministry, you've got to understand who you're ministering to. And you've got to know, like for anybody who speaks regularly, from a preacher to just a motivational speaker, a teacher, you got to read the room, as they say. And so that's really where we're at. We go, okay, we have an older audience. Like when I first got here, the median age was much higher than it is now. And I said, okay, everyone's on Facebook. So we're going to post regularly on Facebook because that's where people are. However, where are people in the community? Oh, the younger generation is on Instagram. Okay, let's make sure that we have a presence there. And then guess what we did during announcements? Hey, guess what? We are on Instagram now. Come follow us in all the things that God is doing in and through New Life Church. We're going to post regularly. Actually, we're going to post information that's going to be first known through social media, not the bulletin, not the weekly or monthly email that goes out. It's actually going to be social media. So now how do we want people to behave? How do we want people to act? Where do we want people to go? We help them, we guide them. And so our number ones are Facebook and Instagram. TikTok we're coming up on, and we have a channel there, and we have feeds, and we're doing different things on there. And we do YouTube shorts, and we obviously stream services as well. And so that can be found all the time on YouTube, from the stream itself to dates after. And then we do shorts on there as well. And so top three for us would be Facebook still, Instagram, and YouTube, and then probably TikTok.
When people connect with you, how does that happen? How do you get feedback out of social media that translates into real connections? What does that look like for you over the last 12 months or so?
Yeah, so feedback. So I think, engagement's a big one, right? I think that's the word. How do people engage with you? And you have to give them a reason to engage with you. If your social media, if your online presence is just information, well, that's what we call like a bulletin board. And the power of social media is so much bigger than a bulletin board. It can be used to motivate. It can be used to encourage, to challenge, call to action, and then also, yes, instruct and give information. But engagement is asking questions. How is it that we're doing? What's going on in your life? And how can we pray for you? Man, prayer walls are great. How can we pray for you? People want to be prayed for. Of course they do. They need help. Prayer moves the hand of God. And so let's do that together. And so we try to do that really well. Let me share this story with you. There was a woman in our church. Now, she wasn't before. This happened almost a year ago to the date of this being recorded. She fell asleep on her couch at home. Life was mediocre at best, figuring things out. Just had a newborn. Fell asleep. Woke up with her cell phone in her hand on, and it was a reel of one of my sermons, a 60-second reel. This woman has never been to our church. She doesn't know about our church, and she doesn't follow any of our pages. She woke up to me being on her screen. I asked her for forgiveness. Well, that's enough. It probably gave you a nightmare. But she said, well, this is interesting. I've never seen this church or this pastor. What's going on? So she clicked on it. She sent us a message. This is what she said in her message. Hey, I just stumbled upon your social media page. I know I need to be back in church, but I don't think I fit the part. I have tattoos. I have piercings. I'm not sure if I would be welcomed at any church, but I know I need it. So I was like blown away by this DM that came in. Now, in our current situation at the church that I pastor at, I am really driving everything when it comes to social media and creative. And so I get the DM. I was out to eat with some friends and I saw the DM come through. And because I know the power of an instant communication, I said, hey guys, I want to get this real quick. Let me see what's going on here. I read the message and I said, well, you got the guy who was on the reel. I'm Pastor Robbie, and the church that I lead, I don't necessarily know what everybody looks like, but I have tattoos. And so if you don't belong, then I don't belong in the church, and I'm leading the church. And she was like, oh my gosh. She showed up the next day and the rest is history. Her family comes, her kids come. It's an amazing testimony to the Lord's leading, putting a reel on her cell phone. She woke up to it, and now she is a vibrant part of a healthy church, and she is being the hands and feet of Jesus in and through the church. And so that's engagement. That's how we're seeing people come to Christ and really come to be part of things through social media. It's amazing to me.
And for people that aren't on social media, DM means direct message.
Yes.
Well, I want to do a follow-up real quick that kind of rolls into this, because there are a lot of people, a lot of older people that haven't ever been on technology and stuff. I just built out a workshop over here with like 6 iMacs, right? And the whole
Amazing.
idea, I could be used to help older generations learn how to keep up with their friends, their grandkids, that kind of stuff, but get used to technology. How do you personally step people through when they say, I don't do digital, I don't have a phone, I don't like this? Because change is hard, right? We're used to the paper bulletin, we're used to paper handouts, but now we're moving more to the digital world with people that feel like they're being left behind.
Yeah.
Is there encouragement? How do you step people through that?
We talk to them. We have conversations. One thing I know to be true that sometimes social media and anything on a screen can't bring is clarity, but face-to-face conversations can do that. And so we talk to them. And, from the digital giving for the church context, for those listening in the church context, we're going to go digital, but we're also going to have black boxes in the back if you bring cash or check. For anybody who's not on Facebook and they're like, hey, I want the information, but I don't have Facebook, or I'm not going to do that. Right. And so, okay, I'm going to respect it. And I'm going to say, okay, well, number one, you'll be second to know anything. Because here, what we're doing is we're going to push things digitally, and then we will send out an email. I took away bulletins. We don't do bulletins anymore. Weekly bulletins. That was here when I came here 2.5 years ago. We don't do that anymore. I said, hey, you want to know something? Guess what? We have a beautiful website, and we have Instagram, and we have Facebook, where we post regularly about what's coming up and what God's doing here. So don't miss out. And yes, we will still send an email out. And so we encourage them with, this is what we're doing. This is how we're doing it. How can we get you information? And so we're not going to leave them so far behind that they're going to leave the church, or that they're going to feel like, oh, there's no place for me. No, there is a place for you, but if you want to be part of this place, this is what we're doing here. And so it's you got to lead with the why. We already talked about the why. And then comes the how and the what and the when. And when you explain it in an authentic way, and we're trying to reach people for Jesus, and that's what we're going to do here. And we would love your help with that. How could we help you? And then they tell us, and then we figure out a way to help them. And so, if somebody doesn't want to be on social media, we're not going to force their hand. But we also say, okay, but that's going to be kind of a number one thing around here. And then we'll get you some information. So it's not an easy conversation. It's not an easy conversation to have.
If you just joined us and you're sitting on your couch and all of a sudden this appears on your screen, this is Connect with Faith. I'm Bill Snider with Dr. Layne McDonald, and our guest is Robbie Gonzalez, pastor of New Life Church, Yorkville, Illinois. I'm excited by what you're sharing. Okay, if there's somebody watching us right now or listening, and they're tempted with trying to get more into social media as a church leader, but they're a bit overwhelmed by even some of the stuff you're talking about. So the question is, where do I begin? Robbie, I think I want to do it, but where do I begin? What would you suggest?
Yeah. I would suggest, if you have a smartphone, or if you have someone in your congregation who has a smartphone, begin to record messages. It could be something as simple. I do this every Sunday morning. As I'm walking into church, I'm saying, hey, it's a beautiful day. Even when it's not, but it's a beautiful day because we get to see one another. Hey, again, our services are 9 and they're 10:45. This is what I'm going to be speaking about today. We have a Life Kids. We have a kids program that is going to love on your kids. And you get to be away from them for about 30 minutes to where you can focus and God can speak to you. I do that every Sunday with my phone. And so you don't have to have this scheduling post thing where you're like, okay, I'm going to post at 3:00 and then I'm going to post at 5:00 a.m. because some people are waking up, and the algorithms, and that hurts my mind when I start thinking about all of it. Break it down, keep it simple. Just share. If I was starting off today, I would let the church know that we are online. Information is power, right? Knowledge is power, but then you need to do something with it to make it actionable. Let them know, and then, preach your message. If you don't have online presence, okay, great. You're not streaming, whatever. Then get on your cell phone, and as you say, like, hey, go to our Instagram page. Hey, go to our Facebook page. After your sermon, record yourself about 1.5 minutes debrief of what you just preached on.
Excellent.
Give them a little devotional. And then on Monday or Tuesday, bring them into your office. Hey, everybody, what a great Sunday we had. Is there a testimony? Did people give their life to Christ? Was there people there for the first time? Talk about those stories. People are encouraged by stories. They want to know what the church is about, not just what they consumed, but they want to actually be participants. And so that would be a great place to start. Bring them into the life of the church. And like I talked about at the beginning of this podcast, what you do matters. And what the church does matters outside of the 4 walls. And so bring people with you. It doesn't have to be this polished thing with microphones and lighting and all of this stuff. You have a cell phone. It's powerful. Use it for good. And it's going to be great. Even if it makes you feel uncomfortable, that's okay, because growth happens on the outside of our comfort zone. And so for some pastors or ministry leaders who aren't used to this, I want to encourage you and maybe even challenge you. Do it not for yourself. This isn't some celebrity thing. This isn't to get more FaceTime for you. This is, let's showcase the things of God. Because if you think about it, Instagram, Facebook, social media can have a bigger impact reach than your church on a Sunday morning. Throughout the entire week, your phone can do that. You got to think about that. Could you imagine with me if Billy Graham had access to social media? Lord, help us. The amount of people that could come to Christ. But what happens? And this is my point. We can have a bigger reach than even Billy Graham did for the power of Jesus Christ because of social media. That's an amazing thing to consider, and it's true.
YouTube would have been Billy too. There's nothing but Billy Graham.
That's true.
Let's go back to New Life.
Yeah.
The dark ages of non-digital to embracing digital. Tell us how New Life has changed, and tell us what the biggest visible impact is of embracing digital.
Yeah. So the biggest change, which any new pastor going into a church, you don't use that word often. You say updates. Nobody wants, if they've been part of the church for a while, they don't want to hear about change, but they don't necessarily mind updates. And so that's a free one for anybody watching that's a newer pastor out there. But the change, for the sake of our conversation, is we have grown exponentially to our community and beyond. The good news of Jesus, it has expanded so much. We, in our context, where I live, in the city and town that I live in, we have grown 4% over the last 6 years each year. So you do the math on that. Pretty significant growth in just 6 years. And so we're growing young. Like, if you were to come in and say, oh, you guys are pretty young, that was not the case 2.5 years ago. I think some of that has to do with the stage of life my wife and I are in, and the kids our age. A lot of it has to do with we're in front of people, not on Sundays, but on their screens. And so younger people are following us and finding out about the good news of Jesus because of social media. And the impact has been great. We are, this is one of the first time publicly I'm going to say this, because I just don't like talking about it for the sake of, I know what happens in the ministry world, but we have grown 51% year over year. From January 1st to the beginning of October, we have grown 51% collectively. Not just this week to that week last year, 51% in total. Those are crazy numbers for anybody who can think through that. And that's not just, 20 people to 40 people. Like, that's hundreds and hundreds of more people coming to our church. And so we added a second service in September. That's a change. And we are now talking about needing another service probably 4 to 6 months from now. And so you want to talk about change? God's bringing increase. And yes, the Holy Spirit is moving. And yes, we keep the main thing. But goodness, we have put a lot of effort into our online presence. When I got here, we had 100. I know this number. This is how you know I'm kind of geeking out on stuff with social media. We had 154 followers as of July of 23. Right now, I believe we are 9 followers away from 1,000 followers. Our YouTube had 554 subscribers. I believe right now we have 1.3 thousand. All I did was stay faithful. All I did was be consistent and have somewhat of a plan, and just say, hey, we're going to make sure that people know about New Life Church. People are going to know about the things that God is doing here locally, not just on Sundays, not just Wednesday nights for midweek or youth group. They're going to know about Jesus each and every day of the week. So that's what we've done, and it's worked for us, and it's worked for a lot of other people. And you don't have to be some guru. I am not a guru. I have not taken classes on social media stuff. I just have a phone, and I kind of enjoy doing it.
Obviously, you have a phone, you have a heart for God, and you have a vision of what you'd like to see happen. And that's not a difficult vision to convey if you're willing to be on the streets.
That's right.
And then you show it.
That's right. Always got to show it.
That's really good. Really good.
There's a simple human element that is always true to any of this. I've seen it with the biggest companies out there and the smallest churches and companies. If you become available, they will find you. It is
That's right.
Powerful thing to have a voice of hope in your zip code, because people will find that, and they're looking for, especially now, there's so much stress anger, delusion, hopelessness. And the algorithms, thank God for now, will put you with your friends, what they're watching, what's closest to you. And the most powerful thing for a church right now is just speaking that hope. And what you're seeing is just organically, this thing's being shared and grow. And that's what you need to understand. You just need to start it.
Robbie, one final question, and then we're going to
Yeah.
bring this to a conclusion. How have you involved your local congregation in furthering this idea? Because it's not just one person. As creative as you could be, that congregation is a powerhouse if it's engaged. How have you encouraged them? How's that going?
That's a great question, because that's happening now. At first I needed to build trust, and I'm probably still building trust as a younger, newer pastor with some of these people. And you gotta stay consistent. Consistency breeds trust, right? If you're consistent with something, they're going to see it and they're going to trust you then. And so some of the things we're doing is asking them to share what God is doing at New Life Church. So if that's on their own page or feed, or it's just, hey, we're going to give you a lot of content to share. Just share it on your page to let people know. And so we're saying, hey, own it. Is this your church? Do you love what God is doing at this church? Let's share it. Oh, you're not comfortable talking about Jesus to someone face to face? Guess what you can do? Fill your page with the things of God, because we're going to push content out. And so, hey, you're not an evangelist. You can't even necessarily ask someone to church. You're afraid to invite them. Sweet. Simply put the caption, would love for you to join me and my family on Sunday. Here's a peek into what it looks like on a Sunday, and then reposting something we give them. So it's a tool for evangelism.
Absolutely.
And so that's really where we're talking to the church. And I also want to say this, we've been called, for anybody listening to this podcast, listening or watching, you've been called in such a time as this to lead the things of God forward. And Paul did everything he could within his power and what he could do, from ships to letters to walking to whatever was there, to talking on mountaintops and all of these things. What resources do you have to spread the good news of Jesus? And it's so much bigger than a microphone, a pulpit stand, and a Sunday morning. And there's tools out there that we have. Let's use them. Let's use them well for the things things of God's kingdom.
You've been listening to Robbie Gonzalez, pastor of New Life Church, Yorkville, Illinois. Might come back to you in a couple of years and say, well, what's happening now, Robbie? I mean, it's exciting. It's exciting. Thank you for sharing your heart and such transparency about the getting there. And we value the time and pray God's blessing on your ministry, and make more and more people come around you and say, I want to help. And for
Amen. I receive that. We need it.
Thanks for being a part of this. You've been listening to Connected Faith. Share it with a friend. We have guests that I think will really encourage you as to the potential and what you can practically do in reaching your community from a local church with the power of media. Connected Faith is on YouTube and a variety of podcast channels. So find us and share us with others. Layne, it's been great. Thank you very much. Enjoyed the time.
Awesome. And God bless all of you.
Thank you. Take care. Have a great week.